Hello everybody, there we are back online to finish this baby, and I will try and make sure that everything is as it should be. Give me just a second because I need to put the link to this on Facebook so people on Facebook can see that I started, if you don't have their YouTube open. And I forgot to change the hold on a second, I need to change the thumbnail. Yeah, but that's not the proper thumbnail. Okay, so let me grab the link to post it on Facebook. Just a second. There we go. So the last time we did the baking, and before baking I placed some mica powder, and then I placed also some Kato polyclay. Alright, some Kato polyclay, and I placed it on his head here, then I placed a little bit here, and then on his tail, and a pinch on his legs. And I did this because with this we are going to make a semblance of scales. And then after we make that kind of scales, we are going to make a different kind of scales. Give him some ears because right now he has no ears. Then place the wings on him. Strengthen everything with a little bit of heat gun, and then do the final touches with some acrylic paint, and then he will be good to go. So first of all, let me make sure that my camera is focusing properly, and I will show you how to do these. And I'm going to show you first on the where should I show you? On the sides of its tail. And you can do this with a linoleum cutter, and that will work better for usually this works better for fish-like scales. Hold on, because I know I had a whole bunch of other kind of cutters here. More of the heads for this cutter. As I said, it's a little bit complicated right now for me because I'm in the process of rearranging everything in my workroom and taking photos for the store, because I finally opened the store, but I didn't want to have to wait for weeks until I managed to take photos of everything that's going to get in the store. So I'm trying to add, if possible, daily new items. And as I take photos of them, they get in another box, and then they get, and I don't find the other ones. Oh well, I guess we'll work with just these two. So they are not in this other little drawer. Oh well, we'll work with just these two, because that's enough. What I wanted to show you is that this one has also an angled one that's not round. But generally speaking, if you have seen my dragon's eye tutorial, you know how I make with this, with the cuticle cutter, I make scales. And the way that you make them, you just get whatever your area is like this, and you just go like this. And you can make fairly pointy scales, and then you go in between the prior ones. You see what I'm doing? But yeah, the general idea is going to get you more dragon type kind of scales, while this kind of tool, a more rounded tool, will give you more fish-like scales. Now, what happens when you have a layer of liquid clay baked on top of the solid clay? And I hope my hands will function properly for this. Some people actually do this with translucent clay, but I personally think that it looks much better with liquid clay because it's much easier to displace. So let me find a spot here. Let's say here. And this is, especially with this, it's especially nice when you're trying to do, I don't know if they are still in fashion, but at one point the mermaid tail pendants were very much in fashion, and at one point I know that I did a tutorial, but it didn't come up right, so I didn't post it out. Maybe I'll have time to do it again. So you just go a little bit in, not to carve the whole thing out, just a little bit, and you will actually leave the impression of scales. See? And of course, as I said, you can use this as well, but it's not as strong as this one, so I'll just continue with the linoleum cutter and hope that I don't make any boo-boos. And this way you can actually create all kinds of designs under the liquid clay before you apply it. You can kind of paint with the mica powder, and the pattern will show through the liquid clay, and then you'll have the scales on top of that. So you can make it rainbowish or however you want to make it. But see how you get a whole scaly pattern on this now. Just make sure that you don't push too hard so you wouldn't completely carve off the whole section. Just a little bit. And here lies my biggest danger, because as you know, my hands, because of the nerve damage, they might twitch and I might just go too far. But yeah, and you do a whole scaly hide here. Oops, see, that's exactly what I did. Also, it's important to put a more significant quantity of liquid clay if you want this to be successful, because that's the only thing that you're displacing. You're not really cutting into the polymer clay, the hard polymer clay underneath. You're simply displacing the liquid clay. This is much harder to carve than if you were to do a mermaid tail, because that one is nice and just round and wedged, so you don't have weird angles like on a sculpture. And no worry, we will cover these up with more liquid clay. Here in a minute I'll show you what we are going to do. Oops, I did it. Now let's do a few of them on top of his head, right here. Finger crossed. That I don't mess up. I know, you know how it is, there's always a fix. Most of the time there's a fix to it, but I'd rather not have to fix it. And if you hear any kind of eeping or yapping in the background, that's Whisper, who's just having a nightmare. I might have to go wake him up because I hate hearing him crying even in his sleep. Okay, just a second. Okay. Sorry, but he sounds so pathetic when he's crying in his sleep. Okay, let me now check the chat. Hello everybody. Yay, Holland. And new ones, new people participating. Okay, let's continue doing the little, a few more scales here. I'm not going to go too far on the sides because that's where the ears will be. Let me get back on me seeing the camera. And you see why, you see the reason why I didn't do the, oops, there I messed it up. Okay, I'll be done with the scales on the front. Why I didn't place the ears yet, because of all this manipulation. It makes it really hard to do this, and I don't want to break them. Okay, now I think I'm not going to go with this kind of scales on the back. I'm going instead to go with the itty bitty rounded ones, because remember I showed you various kinds of how to make scales on that dragon's eye pendant. And we shall use a few of those. Actually, it's kind of like almost all of them. I want to show them to you. So what we do is we make a string first, and I generally go with a different color for the scales because it makes it look prettier than if you go with the same color. Now let's cut this into bitty pieces. And they don't have to be the same size, but it's easier to cut them if you have a string. And yes, we'll use quite a bit of them. And now simply beat them. And you can do that ahead of time or at the time you're putting them on. And this will be for the tail. Then once we get higher on the body, we shall make them a little bit bigger. But on the tail, on the limbs, and on the beginning of the head, and on the side, on the cheeks, they are going to be small. Now let's grab a little bit of bacon bond. We don't need a lot, we just need a little bit. And now start placing them. So what you do, you flatten them up. Okay. Another good way of placing them is to use your sculpting tool or your X-Acto knife, but preferably the sculpting tool. And for now, just attach them. Don't flatten them too much. We will flatten them here in a minute. Okay. And you don't have to place them one regular or anything. That's the haphazard kind of placing them is the best. And now we can flatten them up. And I have a color here. Now a second way of making these, as I showed you, and that's the pretty part of it, is that you can use both ways on the sculpture. And I went with this through the pasta machine on a thin setting. I think it was a number 6. And I'm making sure that I have enough. bacon bond there. And I'm kind of mixing the ways on this little one. You don't have to make it all 3 ways. I'm just placing this here because I want to show you how you can actually make the little dragon skin. Then you can place some patchy clay on here. And just rip it out, don't cut. Flatten it a little bit, and then get your sculpting tool and start making those scaly lines. Yeah, after the second live, I actually thought, gee, I should have made this little guy in a lighter color. I have no idea why I started it in purple. And this one gets too much on the other ones. And then pretty much go the other way. Till you make almost like a grid. And to answer the questions that have been asked for me, yes, I will be making another tutorial with the little kawaii, very easy to make dragon baby. And now, as I showed you in the dragon's eye pendant tutorial, just go in and kind of round the corners on the grid. That's why they don't have to be equal. It's okay for them to be patchy because that will enhance the look of scaly hide if you want. I'm not going to go higher because here we are going to place that piece that will cover up the wings insertion. And see how it looks like, almost like a crocodile skin. If you have, now honestly, if you have any kind of texture that's reptilian and small enough, that's the issue, to be small enough, because I have those cobblestones that I use for the dragon skin bracelets and other stuff, but those are way too big for the tiny baby dragon. Now let's put a patch here too. Let me catch up with you on the... And I'll show you another shortcut here in a second. Okay. Yes, it is the 400, but they are actually more than 400. I think that counting everything, because some of them I don't number, counting everything that's on YouTube, that's on Facebook, and that's on my website, I think I have easily 500 videos out there, and the stuff in the store. Yeah, they are a little bit tedious, but that's why I'm going to show you another way of making them. And here's another way of making them, with the edge and pearls descend. So let's get a little bit of bacon bond for the head. Then place some clay here. And again, you can rip it off. It's going to just make it look more dragony. Now let's make some scales with this. With this end of the smallest edge and pearl. Because I know some people might not be able to do the more tedious way. So you can dress it up like this. And that also makes scales. And then get this out. I went too far because we need the ears here. But yeah, that's another way of placing some scales, and I'll show you on this little dragon all kinds of different ways of placing scaly looking things. Now another way going for another string. I'm not going to mess up with the one that I already have. And this one, you see, it's a little bit thicker than the other one. So measure, let's say I'm going to go on the top paw, front left paw. I make these, I cut them in half, then place some bacon bond. And then you place these half strings one by one. And then grab your sculpting tool. Here we want it to be a little bit flattened. You can do it with this side or with this side. Just make some lines on it. Now place the second one. But this time go for the lines in between the other ones. And you can just make his whole body like this if it's easier for you. And again, go in between the previous ones. And see how again it gives a scaly appearance. Let me check the chat. Yeah, it is cool to see 400. Sure is. Okay, this got a little bit too thin. Hello, Catherine. I'm glad you made it. Okay, and again, I'll do the same for the right wing paw. I almost said wing. And it's a good idea to do the lines after you place each of them, because afterwards it would be much harder to do them properly once all the lines are placed. I just realized I'm way too far back and nobody tells me anything. I just noticed I have another corner here. I think he went again on the table in between my lives. He always has to check out things. And then in the inside we can place a few of the other itty bitty scales. So yeah, I was glad that I was able to do 2 lives today, because I had again yesterday I couldn't do everything that I wanted to do because, as you know, I fell asleep, number 1, and number 2, apparently I was at clenching my jaws again because I was so tired Wednesday and Thursday that I fell asleep before taking my muscle relaxer. So apparently I clenched my jaws in my sleep again, and as a result my jaw's hurting again. And I'm sure that the open window from the broken AC in the van on the way home from the doctor Friday didn't help a lot. Okay, now let's work a little bit on the ears now, because we can afford to do. Let me catch up with the chat. Okay. Yeah, the string technique and the one with the back of the etch and pearl are the fastest. But then also the one with the grid is fairly fast if you do it on a larger area, on a larger surface. Okay, let's grab a little bit of clay. And make pretty much a bicone or a double wedged, double tapered snake if you want. Cut it in half. Now when it comes to the ears of the dragon, this is a very tricky thing, because if you're not careful, your dragon will end up looking either like a donkey or like a horse or like a goat. The same as you have to be very careful when you're doing the muzzle, just because of certain similarities. So where exactly you place the ears is very, very, very important. So in order to make the ears, get this, and then you need to, so this is just a tentative. I don't know yet how big I'm going to make the ears of my dragon, but it's better to make them longer and then be able to cut out. Than to make them too short and have to start all over again. Yeah, you might have to move them several times until you get the proper look. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now let's work on attaching those wings. And then the rest I will just finish off camera, because now you know what the whole thing is, but this is the more important part. I'll probably do the bottoms also with these, but let's do the wing attachment, because that is very, very important. Now, as I said, you have the wings, and pretty much bend them like this, and you can afterwards place more glitter and stuff there, that's fine. But to start with, measure a piece that would be about 2 millimeters wider in all directions from the scoop that you made here, which scoop should be conforming to the U shape in your wings. At this point you might want to bake everything else before doing this, so you don't mess up anything. Hey, stop. Keeps getting stuck to my fingers. Stay there. And be fairly persuasive with the clay so it would go all the way in. Even if you need to trim some of the extra, because this is just the part that will hold the wings in place. It's not the pretty part. This will be covered by something else. When the heck did I pick up a green here? Now watch this. You're gonna have to place some underneath it as well. And I just put my fingernails through something. You see, right here. And the same on the other side. Actually, here I just had it, the one coming from the sides. Because otherwise, if you don't put anything here, the wing will be just, you know, hanging with nothing to support it from underneath. And now you can start smoothing it out. Now, at this point, I suggest you bake before doing anything else any further. Because after that, we will put a crest here, but that I will do off camera. But just to show you how to do that crest. So you'll take a strip that should be about 1.5 the, what the heck, 1.5 the width of the baby's back. And of course you kind of measure in length to come all the way to the middle of the top of the head. Then see what I did? You do it like this. And then very gently you start. Okay, you need a bigger one. You can use this, or you can use a small cutter, or whatever you want. And of course kind of arrange these tips to be but as I said, first bake the dragon before going to the next step, because otherwise you have a whole bunch of elements there that can be disturbed while you're doing all this, and you don't want to have to go start the whole thing all over again. But I'll just show you how to place this. I managed to break it. Sorry, I'm getting tired. Okay, wedge it up a little bit at the top. And this is how you make one of those little crests that dragons have. Then all you have to do is to get it here in place, and then do more scales on each side. And this is how you do the little, is it a fin, is it a crest, what is it? Let's see. I'm not showing well. Why don't you people tell me what I'm not doing right? Because I'm not looking, I'm looking at what I'm doing. But yeah, see? Then you get this, and then you simply smooth this out, because this will have to go over the wings. And you get him to have a little crest as well. But these are the various elements of a baby dragon, and then of course you can come with the acrylic paints, and then underline a little bit the eyes and make some shades here. But these would be the elements how you can add the various types of scales that you can make, and all kinds of other elements. And you saw how we made the little claws. So now, as I said in the description, and as I said, I'm going to finish this off camera because it's much easier and less painful for me to do so, but let's have a little contest with giving him a name that was suggested by one of the subscribers. Let's give it a name, and whoever within a week, whoever gets the most thumbs up, the most thumbs up. Okay, Scans. Okay, Scoots. Okay, Scoots. Whichever proposed name gets the most thumbs up, that person will have to contact me, because I will send them the little baby dragon. So I hope you enjoyed it, because that's what this thing was not, as usual, was not for you to watch me doing awesome things. I wanted to show you the various stages of making a more than baby kawaii dragon, with some more realistic, we are talking a fantastic creature, fantasy creature, but how different ways that you can make scales, different ways that you can create all kinds of other things. And as I said, I will finish this off camera because it's easier for me to do so. But now you know how to create a baby dragon, and let the contest with his name begin. And yes, of course, I will post a short video with how he looks like when I finish him, because I did that before with many things, with the baby deer, with the reindeer, with the goldfish, and with all kinds of stuff. So thank you for being here, and keep practice. I know I got a lot of messages. Oh, I messed up with my baby dragon. It's not really a beginner sculpture. As I said, I will make a short tutorial with how to make a baby kawaii dragon. That would be much easier to make than this. But this was to show you the various the different steps you need to follow, how to make wings the easy way. I mean, it's by no means a professional sculpture, but there are all kinds of tips for you to be able to get a step more than just little simple charms. So thank you so much, and have a great week to come, and whatever's left of Sunday, and happy claying.